Saki mbwembwana kwele mchele kwa kuku kumwaga. Sako na wapenda haya tusema nitasikia.
Hi, my name is Kristin Peterson Edwards, and I'm really honored to be part of the Unite Passion Project and talk about my career in the art world. And I just wanted to talk about other aspects of the art world other than being an artist. I did take art lessons when I was a lot younger, but I'm much better at looking at art and talking about it than actually practicing art. Anyway, I'm currently a private art consultant in Darien, Connecticut, working in Connecticut and New York, and also in other art hotspots around the world. But I help my clients to find works of art that they want to purchase, sometimes one piece, sometimes an entire collection. And another thing that I've done in my career lately is I've helped organize art-focused small group travel around the world and within the United States to big art hubs like Berlin and Buenos Aires and Paris and London and San Francisco, Chicago, Miami, and get people private tours of studios and private collections and create really unique experiences. Another aspect of my job that I've actually been doing a lot of lately is I've been asked to judge and jury some exhibitions at nonprofit spaces and some small museums. And it's been really fun to be able to select works that I really admire and like and give different artists awards for best in show or best photography. And I've actually done several during this COVID time. Some have been virtual, online, but that's been a fun experience as well. Anyway, I've always been passionate about art, thanks to my parents who took my brother and I to a lot of art museums when we were growing up, all over the country, and also in Europe, and that sort of piqued my interest. I ended up going to Northwestern University for my graduate studies and studied art history and French, and I'm currently on the board of Northwestern's art museum, the Block Museum. After college, I went on to study for another year with Christie's Auction House. They have an education program, and I focused on contemporary art, but it was also fine and decorative arts because there's a whole other part of the art world that is furniture, ceramics, silver, and we studied all of that from the Renaissance to the present day. And after being in London for a year and a half, I moved to New York and I got involved in the gallery world. I worked at a contemporary gallery called Robert Miller Gallery, and we represented a lot of important artists and estates, such as the graffiti artist in the 80s, Jean-Michel Basquiat, and many female artists such as Joan Mitchell and Lee Krasner, and Louise Bourgeois, who were kind of trailblazers for women in the art world. And I worked at Robert Miller Gallery for several years, and the two directors there decided to branch out and start their own gallery down in the Chelsea area of Manhattan, and I went with them and worked there for several years, and then ended up taking some time off to have my children. But that's when I started my own business and started doing art consulting and sort of special projects around the art world. I've been involved with several museums, both locally in Connecticut and, like I said, in Chicago at the Block Museum. There are also many other paths you can take in the art world. The auction houses are really sort of important, and a lot of money goes into buying and selling art. Christie's, Sotheby's, Phillips, Bonhams are probably the four best of the auction houses. You can also work in the museum world. There are a lot of important art historians who have jobs as curators and do research and put up these amazing blockbuster exhibitions. And there's a lot of paths to go down in the museum world. And while my focus is on contemporary art, which is pretty much anything from, it's mostly all living artists, but I would say most artwork from the 1960s to today, it's the last 50 years. But there are so many other areas of the art world. A friend of mine, her focus, she has a PhD, and her focus is on Florentine Renaissance manuscripts. So these are all the old books that were very intricately drawn by monks and artists during the Renaissance time. There's modern art, there's Impressionism, Realism, all the Renaissance paintings, and in fact there's a big focus on African art. The Block Museum in Chicago actually had a big exhibition a couple years ago called Caravans of Gold, which focused on the gold trade and trading objects of desire, ceramics, jewelry, as they sort of traded gold from all across Africa to Europe. And so there are so many other areas of study in terms of being an art historian in the art world. A special project I did recently was actually in collaboration with Unite Africa, and I worked with an artist who's Japanese and based in Brooklyn, New York, and he created and designed a mural to be installed in the Heaven School in Arusha, Tanzania. And we took all the paints, had the drawing put up on the wall in the nursery school, and myself, along with some other Unite Africa team members and the students, painted the mural. It was very cool.
The art world's also changed a lot in the last 10 years with access to so much online, with different sites that actually sell art and bring lots of galleries together internationally, such as Artsy, ArtNet, ArtSpace, and most galleries all have websites where you can look at art. Also during this COVID time, they've had a lot more virtual exhibitions, and even some of the art fairs around the world, such as Frieze and Art Basel, have gone online. And that's a whole nother industry of the art world, is the art fair business, which has also grown exponentially in the last 5 to 10 years, giving people from around the country, around the US, and around the world access to see art at galleries from other places.
Anyway, the art world's a really interesting place. It's very expansive. Being an artist isn't everything. There's so many people and so many career paths that you can take, even if you're just interested or passionate about art like I am. I love collecting art. I've been doing it since I was probably, first working. And I buy stuff on my travels. I buy things that I just sort of like. You can buy works of new artists or younger artists that aren't very expensive. But the art world's a really interesting, ever-changing place. Whether you're an art history professor, or, like I said, a museum curator, or an art historian writing books, or an art critic. There's a lot of art critics that make commentary about artists and exhibitions, and they can kind of make or break an artist's career. So it's really an interesting place to be. and it's something I love, and I'm a big believer in do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. So good luck, and may you be surrounded by art. Thanks.
Nanipaga moyo nikianza kulia chozi nafutia